time to draw this meeting to order. Can I welcome Fyodor? Is he on mute? Fyodor.
Yes.
Hi. Welcome to Grove Lane Baptist Church. You are
Nice
among friends. You might not realize it, but in this congregation, there's Simon, who you meet every January in Amsterdam, Lillian, with whom you had lunch many years ago, and Claire and Eliza are here as well. Unfortunately, Chris and Gaynor are not. Gaynor's working today and Chris is with her. So it's good to see you. We'll talk some more in a minute. Yeah. We're going to start by singing a hymn. Both hymns this morning are chosen with Fyodor in mind. Fyodor and I used to stand when taking a break from doing his MA thesis on his balcony in Sarajevo, looking out over the hills. And I remember having a discussion one night with him about the psalmist and the psalm, I lift my eyes to the quiet hills. So we'll sing, I lift my eyes to the quiet hills. Okay, so Fyodor, let's begin. Keep getting a different picture of you. How are you, Fyodor?
I'm doing well. Just came back from our church.
And is your health well?
Yes. I'm doing quite well.
Yeah, you're not just saying that. That's really true, is it?
No,
last time I spoke to you, you weren't.
I'm not pretending. No, I'm serious.
You've had a difficult 2 or 3 years. How have you survived?
No, well, it's a good question. I think with the Lord's help, with the friends' help, with many other prayers and support and encouragement that I got from my numerous friends. I've survived. Uh, yeah.
Good. So you're better than you were when we spoke in September.
September.
At Edinburgh, on the way from Edinburgh.
That was August. Sorry. That's why.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, yes, that's why I was confused. Yeah. Well, it depends. It depends in what area. I'm better in what area I'm still struggling, and in what area I'm coping more or less well. Yeah, because on the way from Edinburgh to Oxford, we were talking about my situation related to the loss of my wife Oksana and my son Arthur, and then at the end of August I lost my mom. So that was another kind of a loss upon a loss upon a loss. And in 3 years, I've lost three closest people in my life: my mother, my wife, my son. And yeah, each loss has its own colors and experience and emotional attachment and things like that. So yeah, I'm doing more or less well. If not to take the situation in the country and the current developments and in the life and in the ministry. Uh, but otherwise, that's life. That's how one's live his, her own life.
So, what is life like in Kyiv today?
Um, well, in Kiev, the life looks during the day, most of the time, as a normal life, but then it is disturbed or disrupted by sirens from time to time. And if you are in a shopping mall, you have to leave it. If you are in the office, you have to go to the shelter. If you are in the church service and the siren goes on, you have to stop it as well. So otherwise, it looks like more or less okay. And then the nights are rather disturbing because during the nights, Russians like to remind us about the war that is in the country. So they would send all kinds of rockets over the Ukraine is a rather big country, but they would send to destroy our infrastructure. So the previous night they sent 21, I guess, hypersound ballistic rockets. And last night they sent over 45, I guess, drones. So, but in the meantime, it looks okay. So today, during the worship time, we didn't have siren. We could worship without any disturbance.
So, at the moment, you're in your office at the seminary, are you?
Yes, yes. I
So, what would happen if sirens went off now? Is there a shelter at the seminary?
yes, but I will ignore it for the sake of our conversation.
No, you won't. If the
We learn over two and a half years to just to ignore it.
do you,
You know what the war is different now. You have your phone, and in your phone, you don't know just where the rocket is flying at the moment, but you know in what direction it is flying. And so we have a good programs to track the rocket. So if we have a siren, I will get immediately on my phone, and if I have my direction of rocket, then I will say, John, I'm sorry, I have to run. Otherwise, I will stay.
don't even stop to say, John, I'm sorry, just run.
I have to take time at least to turn off the Zoom.
Well, I don't know. Perhaps it would be an education for us to see a rocket on Zoom. But let's hope it doesn't hit your office.
Yes, yes.
So what is life like in terms of being able to get things? Are things in short supply?
We would have all the basic things that we need. Of course, supplies has changed, and the diversity of things and commodities we get used to prior to the war, they have changed because all the logistic chains have been either broken or because of the war, we would not have all the products we get used to. So we just have to adjust. And since the humans are the adjustable animals, or very fast adjustable animals, so we have adjusted to the things that we have at the moment in our shops, in our um,
Was that was that the siren?
no, it's a noise, and I hope not on my side.
Well, it wasn't a drone coming here. So what about hospitals and doctors and medical care and so on? Are they easily available?
Thanks God, I have not need recently to go and check whether they are available, but I hope they are. We have few doctors as a members of our church, and yeah, I talked to them just recently to see how they are doing and whether they have too many people in the hospitals and whether they have too many injured soldiers to treat. So yes, these all services are available. And we are talking in Kyiv, of course. We have to take that into account. I am not sure that the same services are available in either temporary occupied territories or along the front line, because the situation in these areas are completely different from ours. So if we talk about Kiev as a capital, yes, then all these services are at hand. Otherwise, it would depend on the situation on the ground and about what part of Ukraine we are talking.
Right. And recently, the Russians have been trying to take out your electricity generating plants. How has that affected life?
They hit it one of the major power plant just nearby Kiev, Tropilska. Its name is Tropilskaya power plant. And of course, it affected the providing of electricity of the power. But at the moment, as you can see, I am in the office. We have electricity, we have internet connections, we have water, running water, hot water, cold water, and again, we are talking about Kiev. Elsewhere, situation is different, but thanks God, I don't know how, but even having almost completely destroyed this power plant nearby Kiev, somehow Kiev has electricity. In other areas, and just 2 days ago, they hit another power plant in the western Ukraine. So there is a different situation. They would have either electricity by hours, so they would have a certain schedule, when they would have electricity, so they could recharge all their phones and batteries. And of course, during the winter, during the previous winter, we would all get some sort of generators in order to have them in our apartments or houses so that we could have electricity. So they tried, they are trying, and we are sure they will try to hit as much as possible of all life necessary infrastructure in Ukraine.
So, as a result of that and all the other things that have gone on during the war, what is the mood of the people in Ukraine, as far as you can tell?
Well, we are less hopeful than we were last year, when we were more kind of optimistic that this war may end sooner. At the moment, I think there are two. Um, yeah, I don't like to generalize things, but I will, for the sake of our conversation. I think that there are two more or less moods among the people. First, there is this a sense of fatigue from the intensity of war. We are not just talking about 2 years and few months of the war, but we are talking about 2 years of a high intensity war, when almost every day we would be bombed, rocket attacked with the drones, all kinds of drones, and we have to also take into account that this war is unprecedented in terms of the numbers of drones that are used by both sides. And as one of the military commander told me, that the difference between all previous wars and this one is that we see everything and they see everything. So we are fighting, seeing each other every move. They would see the move of our army. We would see and monitor online 24 hours per day their movements. So the only way to have advantage is to sneak out somehow the enemy in some way, but they would learn so fast. So you have to think further how to cheat them, how to find a way to get around the things and so on. So that what cause fatigue, because that is not just a war, but that is a war of high intensity when you have no place where you feel yourself safe, because the rockets and we have to admit that Russia has a sophisticated weapon, and they would send, I mean, they used all possible sophisticated weapon against us apart atomic weapon. But they are always kind of, threaten us with that as well. Whenever they feel that they are not gaining anything, they would immediately threat us with the atomic weapon. So that's why what caused this fatigue. The second thing is that people are not anymore as optimistic about our victory as they used to be. And you can explain that by the fact that it just, this war is just long. And if not to take into consideration that the war is taking place since 2014, but we are talking about 2.5 years of a full scale of a high intensity war. So probably fatigue and less optimism would be these two kind of things that you can say about in a general way. Otherwise, you have all kinds of other issues that people have are experiencing. If we take, for example, Bucha, where I minister, where people were occupied, they were terrorized, they experience either violence firsthand or looting or killing or all kinds of horrible things. So these people experiencing one thing because they are trying to recover. Then you have those people who are in the occupied territories, they're experiencing horrific things continually. And then people on the front line, they experience a horror of being attacked. And then those who are misplaced inside the country, they are experiencing uh, another discomfort of not being able to live where they get used to. And then you have those who are refugees in other countries. They have their own experiences of this war. So, I mean, we cannot unpack all these people, but you have to take that war is not just frontline. It has
Yeah.
all many faces, and different people experience it differently.
You mentioned Bucha. Um, you had me preach in the church in Bucha when I came to visit, so I remember it well. I remember the church. I remember lots of young people and a large congregation. And I remember I wasn't the only preacher that day. I think there were three others. But how is the church now after all the events of those early days in the war?
It's a different church completely because we've lost many members of the church, and when I say lost, not necessarily they were killed. We had few members to be killed as well, but most of them have either currently internally misplaced people. That means that they are now living somewhere in the western parts of Ukraine, or they are refugees. They are living outside the country. We have members who are currently in Norway, in UK, in Spain, in Poland, in Germany. We have some in Canada because we are trying to maintain relationship with them. Some of them decided that they will not come back to Ukraine, so we bless them and we help them to find local churches wherever they are. So that's one story. We have lost about 70% of our members because they have either left themselves or been forced to leave Bucha. But we have not lost in attendance, so which means that these 70% of people, now we have completely new people who have no Baptist tradition, who have no church tradition at all. And then we have people who have moved from eastern part of Ukraine to Bucha, and they were members of churches there. So the consistency of the church has changed completely. So now we learn to minister to a new kind of church because the church we get used to prior to the war is not anymore there. So if you would come today to our church, you would, and if you remember faces of people from that time, you would not see them. You would not see most of them. Then another situation we just had a week ago, guests from United States, and I said to a preacher that look carefully to the sanctuary, to the auditorium, and pay attention what kind of people are sitting in front of you. You will not see young men. You will see just men over the 60. You would not see young people because they have all either left the country or they are not in Bucha anymore. So the audience you see is a kind of picture, or it's something that mirrors the Ukrainian society at the moment, because most of our young men, they are in the military, they are fighting on the front, and therefore those people who come to the church, they mirror the people who are now you see on the streets of Kyiv and other places as well. So it changed since then. It changed drastically, and we learn as pastors to minister to those who have no tradition of our church or a church tradition at all. So we changed the style of preaching, we changed the style of worship. I said to our preachers, you cannot say in your sermon that you know that's what it says in the Bible there and here and there, because they don't know. You have to speak in a very plain, simple, and understandable way for those who have not read the Bible or who have no church tradition at all.
So what about the seminary? I mean, that must have changed as well. A lot of the students must have either gone off to fight in the war or gone to other countries, or how is that going?
Yes, it changes well. We put on a pause all our full-time programs because we cannot have our students on campus due to security reasons, and not many students would like to come back to Kyiv because Kyiv, although it is well protected city by the air defense systems and so on and so forth, still considered to be a not very safe place to stay. So we don't have our full-time students. All our part-time students, we would offer them a hybrid form of education, which means those who want to come, those who eager to have offline kind of learning experience, they can come for a while, for a week or two to our seminary, but most of them prefer to be online. And every time we connect online via Zoom, as we do with you today, we would have our students connecting from 9 different countries, 12 different countries, because many of them are now living in other countries. At the same time, they prefer to continue their studies with us, and they would like to uh, finish it whenever it takes and how long it takes. So yes, it changed our educational way of doing things and how we do education as well. Yeah.
In the early days of the war, you spent a lot of time doing humanitarian work on the front line,
Mhm.
and sometimes in areas where the army had told you, well, it's at your own risk. Are you still doing that work? Or is it not necessary, or is it been?
Uh, we still do that work because we have a volunteers team, and we still do that, not as often as we used to do it, because of the other ministries and work, and I just cannot dedicate all my time to this volunteers work. But for example, last Christmas I've spent in trenches with soldiers, and it was intentionally. We wanted to spend with them and to stay with them in the conditions they are, just to experience a war firsthand. And since we served to the artillerists, and so it was an interesting experience to be with them and to talk to them and to spend time with them. And that's what they wanted. They said, well, we would like you not just to come to give us what we need, but to spend time with us, stay with us, talk to us, and so on. So we were there for the whole week, Christmas week, and we would visit them. The commanders would provide us a special military vehicle that would take us to the positions, and yeah, so we still do that. not as often as we did back then. Um, and in the Kyiv area or Kyiv region, there is no such an urgent need anymore as it was back then in the beginning of the war, and especially after the occupation of the Kiev region. So whenever we go to the Donetsk region, we go to probably places you have heard in the news, like nearby Bakhmut, nearby Avdiivka, nearby Solidar, Kramatorsk, Konstantinivka. Some of these places already been occupied by the Russians. Some of them are now in a very bad condition because the most fierce fighting are taking place now in Chasiv Yar, where we used to go, in Liman and other places.
And has most of the population left there, or are there still some people who've stayed and are stuck in the middle of it?
Strangely, there are people who have stuck there, and I have to admit that those people are waiting for Russians to come, and they would consider them as the liberators and saviors. And these are the people that are very pro-Russian people, and these are the people that would, give information to the Russians about location of our military positions and things like that. So yes, there are people, those who have experienced Russian world, as we call it, and they don't like it, they are not there anymore. But there are people, they are not many people, but they are there, and they like to take our help, our humanitarian aid. But I suspect they would wait for the Russians to come.
Right. So move on. You've been out of the country a number of times in the last couple of years. You were recently in Finland. You were in the UK last August, as you remind me. Lots of people have left Ukraine and taken the opportunity not to go back. Why do you keep going back?
Yeah, I've been to Brazil and to US after Oxford. That's a good question. Well, because this is my country, and that's where I believe I was born, and I am called to minister to the people. And yes, I've had many invitations, many temptations to leave the country, but somehow, even when we knew that the war will be, and we didn't know what kind of scale that war will have, and many of my friends would ask me what I will do. I've said that I will stay, and I will stay to the moment until the Kiev is completely under the Russian flag. And when it will be under the Russian flag, that will be the day when I will leave the Kiev for the last time. And since it didn't happen, because I cannot envision myself to live under the Russians, I don't know if you remember my story or not, but I was born in a family of political dissidents. I have never had anything good to hear about communist era and the Russians and everything along that lines. So until the Ukraine is Ukraine, I'm here, and if things change, I will ask you to welcome me in UK, for example.
You have only to ask.
Yeah.
You know that, don't you? I mean, seriously,
Yes.
if the time comes, the Hughes family will sort you out.
Yeah. I hope it won't.
To say nothing about the members of Grove Lane Baptist Church.
Yeah, I can preach there as well. Yes.
Yeah, well, we need preachers.
Yeah.
So, my last question:
Yeah.
what can this church do for you and your country today?
Well, that's what I wanted to say at the beginning, but Thanks for asking this. Well, first of all, I would like to thank your church and many other churches and your family in particular. And I'm glad to that you've mentioned that there is among you Claire as well, and Lillian and Simon. Greetings to them, a warm greetings to them. I don't see their faces, but I'm sure they are there. I would like to thank you all for. You've already done a lot of things, well, for my family, in particular for my daughter Elizabeth. I told her that I will speak to you today, but she's on another service, so she will watch it uh, in record. So I would like to thank you, and that's what I do wherever I leave the country, just to thanks everyone who support us, because whenever you're suffering and you know that you are not alone in your suffering, that's a very encouraging and inspiring thing to know. And I know that. I know all these 2, 3 difficult years that I was not alone in a struggle. And that is probably what keeps me sane and what keeps me um, um, in a shape as you see me today. What else you can do? I would like to thank Claire in particular, how she reacted in the days when we were trying to provide everything for elderly people, for orphans around Kyiv, because at that point there was nothing that no shops were open, no drugstores were open, and we could get through our friends in the Western Ukraine and through our friends in the Western Europe or Eastern Europe, all things that we needed, and we could provide these people with some necessary things. So you already done a lot of things, and I would like to thank you for that. What else you could do? You could, if you are open, you can still support the work we do, but you have to know that because not many people are willing to support that. At the moment, all our efforts are aimed at helping to our military people and to their families, because um, they send their loved ones to protect us. We sense that their families, children, wives, parents of the soldiers are those who need some help. So whenever soldiers give us their phones, their addresses, and they said that my family would need this and this and this, and they don't know how to get it, we are trying to make sure that we would provide all these necessary things to their parents, to their spouses, to their children, and so on and so forth. So that's one of the area where, if you are willing to help, we would gladly receive your help.
Right, can I just can I interrupt you there? Because when we were talking in August, um, there was no problem about you accessing money from all sorts of places, from the United States and so on. Has that stopped?
Some of it has stopped, and we have no problem. Well, I mean, people support whenever they have something to support. Yes, we have some shortage of support at the moment, and we talk to those who are interested to help. We are open for any assistance. So if there are some people who would like to help us, that's okay. Another need, if I may pose.
Sorry, let me finish that one off first.
Yeah.
So if we arrange a collection and we send it to you in the same way that Claire sent money to you 2 years ago, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And then there is a private need if you want. My car has broken seriously and it stays and I cannot use it. And
You've been driving it too fast again, have you?
not this time, yes, but you know that I have that problem with speed tickets and things like that. But yeah, it has been broken and it stays, and I need it for ministry, but I cannot at the moment offer the cost of the repair. So if there are someone wants to help me to minister, that would be another way to. I would be very helpful to your church and to anyone who responds.
Okay.
Otherwise, we are doing well. We are coping with the reality as it is.
Okay, well, we've heard those needs, and we have a church meeting week on Thursday, and we will talk about it then. I'm sure there are going to be people who are here this morning who are saying, John, you should have asked him this, so I'm going to give the people here a chance to come and ask you questions themselves. If you want to ask Fyodor a question, will you come here, please, so that A, he can hear you, and B, he can see you on camera. Is there anybody who wants to come and ask a question? You can queue up here behind him.
Hey.
Hello, Theodore. Thank you for taking the time out to talk to us. You did come to our house years and years ago with your family, just for one meal, so we remember you. I remember talking about the Russians to you then. My question is, how much is your car repair?
Oh, I will tell you because I have a bill. A pre-estimation that sent. It costs 62,000 green. It costs 1,400 and something dollars.
Right. Thank you.
That was Ray Morgan, by the way. If anybody else comes up, will you introduce yourselves?
Oh, sorry, John.
Anybody else got a question? I think you might recognise Claire.
Hi Theodore, it's Claire. I want to know at the
To
beginning
see
of
you,
the
Claire, because I missed to see you in August.
at the beginning of the war, you told us about missing a special kind of bread. I can't remember what it was called. And we said, here's some money for you for the work you're doing, but here's a bit to make sure that if and when that bread reappears, you can get some. I just want to know, did you get the bread?
Yes, I did get the bread, and
Easy.
it now appears in our stores. It's a bread made out of. You don't eat these kind of things, but we do. Do you know what is helda? Helda, a special kind of. No, okay.
No.
That's the bread made out of these things, and I like it, and our family used to like it. And during the war, the beginning of war, it disappeared, and I was kind of I missed it. So, but now we have it. So thank you, Claire. Thank you for all the help you did with Lisa and with all the assistance you did. I appreciate it very much. I wanted to tell you that in August, but we missed each other.
Yes, I'm sorry.
And hopefully, I will be back to UK this summer as well. So maybe we will see each other.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anybody else? Right, I don't know whether Dorothy is on the Zoom. I don't know whether Dorothy wanted to ask Fyodor anything. Did you, Dorothy? About Artaxerxes? No, she's not listening. Okay. Is she? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Sorry, having a bit of trouble like last week. Couldn't unzoom myself.
We can hear you now.
I've been very interested in Theodore's talk and question and answers, but I don't have any questions of my own. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, with that, we'll finish the questions, and Martin's going to lead our prayers of intercession.
Shall we pray? We're going to take some time to reflect on people who live in conflict zones, not just in Ukraine, but all over the world, and what it means living day to day in that situation. King of Kings, our war-torn world needs your perfect rule. We take a moment to reflect on what it's like to live in a conflict zone. What does it feel like to be surrounded by the sounds of war? What does it feel like to see your young men and women leave to fight? What does it feel like to worry about water, food, or power? What does it feel like to have to decide whether to stay or to leave? What does it feel like to choose to put yourself in the way of danger? What does it feel like to run towards the things that scare you? We ask you, wonderful Counselor, to grant wisdom to those who need it. We ask you, mighty God, to do what humans cannot achieve and soften hearts that are set on violence. We ask you, everlasting Father, to draw near to those who are most vulnerable. May children, the elderly, bereaved and displaced find comfort in your eternal arms. We thank you, Prince of Peace, that in your kingdom victory is not won through you shedding the blood of your enemies, but by you shedding your blood for your enemies. Amen.
I think it was when Fyodor and family attended the Baptist Union Assembly in Birmingham that Fyodor said to me soon afterwards he'd learned a new hymn that he really, really liked. So we're going to sing that hymn that he really, really liked. Now, it's the hymn, Brother, Sister, Let Me Serve You.
John,
Hello?
before Theodore goes, I didn't have a question because you kind of sprung it on me, but I want to tell him that I was reading an article this morning about a Franciscan church in London that was packed to standing room only of Ukrainian refugees and people surrounding the area. all having a service on behalf of the Ukraine situation.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now we'll sing, Brother, Sister, Let Me Serve You. Are you still there, Fyodor? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much for
Yeah,
taking the
John.
time out to speak to us today. We're all a lot wiser, and our prayers will always be with you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and I appreciate all your help that you have given to us and through us in the beginning of the war. And you should know that you are all welcome to Kyiv and to Bucha Baptist Church.
Thank you.
Whenever the war is over, you should come.
And now shall we say the grace together? The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all evermore. Amen.